So how are you feeling now with all this, the controversy that happened?
My absence from the internet in all those years allowed a narrative to be created that will never change, no matter what I do.
I don't like trashing fellow comedians. I really don't. I genuinely don't.
No.
There is no comeback for whose jokes are you telling now? What jokes did you do? Oh, you wrote a new joke? Like, there's no comeback for that. I can't say anything to that.
You know, Carlos is like, the problem is like I'm not on the internet. I'm not on social media really.
Of course he is.
Well, he's saying like he doesn't really have a voice on there.
So an Instagram page. He's got a few different versions. One of his versions is I've recorded all my shows since 1993, and if I ever stole a joke, I would go back and say, listen, I could show you that I did it before you.
Like, I've recorded all my shows since 1993. Yeah. I don't have to fight anybody on anything.
He's trying to find a way to excuse what everybody knows he did.
Mm-hmm. Every time I say I've recorded all my shows since 1993, people get scared. Other comics get scared.
Did that change after Mencia? You felt a little bad?
Yes, 100%.
I
Really?
thought so.
You felt bad about
During
it?
the moment of it.
My biggest regret is back in those days, you know, when all this stuff happened, was to fight it.
The weird thing was the anger. Like watching the anger, like, bah! It's like you're throwing meat to a group of fucking piranhas. Like there's just this buzzing of people joining on one side or the other side. And I realized like a lot of this is not logical.
But I stayed quiet, and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And now it's just like, that's what it is.
I realized how much negativity it creates.
They did something to me that comics up until then never done. We handled our shit together, right? There have been stories about Kinnison pulling out a gun on Dice and all that shit, but those stayed amongst us. That shit was never put on the internet so that normal people that don't know shit about comedy get involved.
What would you do differently about comedy?
Nothing.
That's what I was thinking.
I wouldn't do a thing different. I took the hit. But it's like the hit wasn't bad because I was right, and eventually I knew they would realize I was right. And I would wish that he would realize I was right.
I don't think you should air this, but I'm in a vulnerable place. You know that I have some fucked up family and some fucked up friends. I've stopped some of my good friends from doing some fucked up shit to people that talk shit about me. Even that was easy and not easy.
It didn't seem to me personally that there was a bunch of reflection done.
But the thing that is putting you in comedy prison is just the essence of the stealing. That's the real root of
stealing is such a huge deal for me.
But Carlos finally just
admitted
said,
to everything.
I fucking steal.
If you think that I steal jokes, fuck yeah, you're right.
Stealing is such a huge deal for me.
Of course I fucking steal jokes. Are you out of your fucking mind?
Right? Sound like that?
Ned.
When I come to a comedy club, you better run, bitch. You better get the fuck off stage. Because if anything you say is even remotely funny, I'm going to make it mine.
The reason I think there's a combination of things going on.
And all I'm going to do is say Mexican in the front. I'm like a rapper. I just sample shit and make it my own. Was that really my song? I don't know. But it sounds like mine. But it kind of sounds like somebody else's. It's a hit, bitch.
But a lot of your material was a little too similar to the ilk of Paul Mooney or, Bill Hicks or, the Cosby thing was, right. So my point, and I know my point though being is that, to me, where there's smoke, there's fire.
You personally have seen me write 20 minutes of new shit on stage in one show.
I have seen that, but I have also seen some of your act, a little too close to things that have already been established, like the Bill Cosby bit.
Yeah, I'd never seen that one. So
I know. My point though is that it's so similar, right?
Yeah.
I thought you guys did a really good job of kind of holding him to what you've believed the truth to be.
This is how I genuinely feel about you. Okay, you obviously, I've said this, you're monumental help in my career, and I really thank you for all the things that you've done. In the mid-90s is when I met him. He brought me on the road when I couldn't pay rent, and I was really desperate. I could always go to him for money, and he helped me out in so many different ways, right? So, I really appreciate that. Paulie did the same thing.
Have you ever felt personally accosted?
Well, I remember when all that, you mean because of Ned?
Yeah, like was there ever a power dynamic? Because I know how much you revered Ned and how much you loved him.
And I always knew going on the road with him that, number one, I found it odd that he never had a notebook.
Dude, when he posted that video, which, by the way, from my perspective, was just to show that, just to have him talk about the Ari Shaffir thing, right? Just to talk about that. Yeah. Just to talk about how, dude, he got so much shit that he called me up pretty much crying and said, I got to take it down, dude. I can't deal with this.
Go from Bobby Lee. Let me tell you. The video on the internet of him and even during the Joe Rogan thing, when the Carlos Mencia thing went,
oh my God.
And they went
go way back.
I started laughing because Bobby goes, really? Yeah, he's still, no, I'm sorry, don't talk to me. Bobby bailed.
Fuck.
Doing Bobby Lee. Bobby Lee's his friend.
I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is.
That's Ned Holness.
Oh, I know Ned Holness. Yeah, he's really good. Hey, does all that stuff.
How's he doing?
Hey, all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Because at first you were like this. You're like this. Yeah, man. He's no. Forget it. Forget what I said.
What has he ever stolen from you?
I used to do this bit about how I was so small that my dad would have to get on my shoulders to get on a ride at Disneyland.
Right.
Then he did a bit, literally, but I can't do it. But where's this going?
Who cares? What the fuck? It's reality.
Anyway, it's good to see you.
Bobby bailed. I said, that's Bobby though.
I'm a weasel. And so when that whole thing happened, it was like the Titanic. I mean, I was either going to sink with Carlos or survive. It is what it is, like Trump says. And so there are certain loyalties that I have. The Comedy Store.
I really feel bad for Joe Rogan. And,
Carlos Mencia.
Joe Rogan really, and I know anybody that says is like on his side or whatever, he probably go fuck you because he went through a lot of shit dealing with Carlos.
I got banned from the Comedy Store. That was a real problem.
Like somebody said to me the other day that I kicked Joe out of the Comedy Store because I had the power. I'm like, first of all, Mitzi was alive. I don't know if you know anything about Mitzi. You can't tell her to do shit at her club.
Yeah.
So, no.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't Mitzi Shore's idea. The real problem was I was on the phone with Mitzi like more than an hour before they called me to tell me I was banned. So I was on the phone with Mitzi, and I told her, out of respect, what had happened. I said, Mitzi, I go, we are fucking tired of this guy stealing jokes. She's like, Carlos, are you sure he's stealing? I go, Mitzi, we have videos of it. He's a fucking thief.
That wasn't me. And second of all, I would never tell him to not do that shit. That was a decision that they made because, from my understanding, we weren't supposed to record at the Comedy Store.
And so we had this conversation on the phone, and she goes, well, just keep away from him. So I told her that we're going to release this video. She goes, well, just keep away from him. I go, I'll do whatever you want me to do.
This is the reason why comedians get away with stealing. Because comedians like you are afraid of confrontation.
I had no problem with Ari Shaffir, right? No problem.
Dude, get the fuck away or I'm going to hit you. And then you kept doing it, and then I just punched you, and you fell. So you didn't even give me the satisfaction of fighting back.
But you kicked me while I was down there.
Yeah, well, you were down.
Bobby calls me up and says, dude, Ari just beat the shit out of me. Do not put him on your show.
Ari auditions for Mind of Mencia.
Yeah.
He had just auditioned to play Jesus Christ in this parade thing that we were doing on Mind of Mencia.
So when Carlos finds out that Ari had booked the job in a sketch.
And we were fighting.
He called you and said, hey, bro, I can't have you on my show.
No.
What?
Oh, they just said they brought out the part. He didn't call me at all.
He didn't call you?
Oh, he's the worst, man. He's, how much
Oh,
of a liar
yeah, he said
is.
he called you.
He's like, oh, yeah, man, they just wrote out the part. It's nothing. It was like, okay.
So I went to the Comedy Store that night. I saw Ari. I said to Ari, hey, what are you doing punching Bobby? He's fucking little. You're fucking huge. What's wrong with you? And he said, well, if I see him again, I'll fucking beat his ass again.
So that happened.
God, it felt
I
good.
went up
It felt
and
so
I
good
went to the
kick you. That when the leg like stops. When
it's
body.
And I immediately called my producers and said, is he booked on the show? Because if he's booked and you told him he's booked, we're not going to change it. But if he's not booked, I don't want you to book him. And they said, no, he's not booked. So I didn't put him on the show. After that, he starts saying I steal jokes from him. Before that, he didn't.
Speaking of stealing, did you see Carlos Mencia on Bobby Lee's show?
It didn't seem like his stories were adding up.
I saw that he was on it, and I watched like a few seconds of it, but I was like, oof.
Do you know how many millions of dollars this cost me?
And Bobby, you know, he goes at him, man. It's like, you definitely stole some stuff, man. And like, you need to apologize for it.
For me, you know, there's certain codes that go on in comedy. Like, for instance, I remember one time Johnny Sanchez said, you know, I'm doing this new bit about, you know, me walking through a spider web, but people from afar can't see you walk through the spider web.
Right.
And so, you know, they just think you're a crazy person,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I looked at him and I go, yeah, Brian Regan does that bit. And Johnny goes, oh, well, I'm not going to do it anymore, right? There's that like little code, right? And I believe that if you had written that bit, that you would continue to do it. And I just feel like, you know, we're just at a point where it might be a situation where it might be, you know, unfixable, which is a sad thing.